We're going to take the play. Pretty sure, even though we're missing red mana, which makes Unexpected Windfall kind of awkward, I'm just obligated to keep a hand that can make Discover the Formula cost 2 blue mana. That seems pretty good. We have a bunch of spell lands in this deck that Discover the Formula can find, so chances are we actually do manage to get our third land drop off Discover the Formula at some point. I mean, I guess that would be on turn 4, which isn't good. Or we could just draw lands and never have a problem, because I never had a problem to begin with. If we hit another land on curve by turn 4, which we did because we don't have a problem and I've never had a problem, then I actually get to Discover the Formula plus Galvanic Iteration next turn, and that sounds kind of absolutely just the silliest. So this ought to be a lot of fun. That also makes Unexpected Windfall go down to 2 mana. You love to see it. Ooh, our opponent's doing not a lot of anything. So I suppose we should probably assume this is some sort of a mirror match. I have no incentive to do anything until my opponent gives me an opening to. I'm really tempted to just go for it, but they could totally have Galvanic Iteration plus Jwari Disruption and completely blow me out of the water because of how much I've invested into this Discover the Formula. Getting it countered is essentially a 3-for-1 right now. So I don't think we do that just yet. I think I'm willing to wait and force my opponent to make the first move, especially because my first moves involve these Geistchannelers that are technically doing damage. I could have Windfalled, that is true, but I would have had to discard something to do that, and I'm not certain that's what I wanted to do. I guess we could have discarded Galvanic Iteration. I do think I need to Unexpected Windfall now. We're going to discard Discover the Formula, the expensive one. So the opponent has an opening, which they use. Cardboard Live is not working right now. I installed Untapped to replace it so that it could actually have the Alchemy cards. And when we went live, we got a notification that for some reason it was getting blocked by Cardboard Live. So I'm going to have to go figure out why that is and how to fix that. Alrighty. Well, this is about as tapped down as we're likely to get the opponent. So we're going to go for this. What's your answer to multiple Discover the Formulas, opponent? No answer to the first one. No answer to the second one. Cool. Alright. We didn't actually wind up with any lands or counter spells, which is awkward. But we do have a bunch of stuff that costs a lot less mana. That's pretty cool. I could have double Galvanicked, but I wanted to be able to hold up possible counter spells off of the cards that we drew. Divide by 0 mostly. Adelnikov, thanks for the follow. Glad you're enjoying the stream. And I think we're pretty safe to discard a Fading Hope against this deck the opponent's on. So the opponent doesn't have the ability to Galvanic, take an extra turn here. Okay. Key to the Archives. Why not Windfall to dig for a land? I believe we had already made the land drop for that turn, if I'm not mistaken. It's just mostly worth noting because it affects how aggressively I have to play on the end of my opponent's turn, because I do want to do my best to make sure that I hit my next land drop. And I think that takes the form of playing Galvanic Iteration plus this 2-mana Unexpected Windfall. If I hadn't made the land drop there, which I don't remember, so it's possible I didn't, then I do think that sorcery speeding Galvanic plus Unexpected Windfall was probably the right move. Alright, well, we found a land. Not untapped, but opponent has given us access to absolutely ample amounts of mana. I don't think I want to play this Hall of the Storm Giants yet. I think I just want untapped mana for the time being. And how badly do I want to play this very inexpensive Lier? I would like... Oh, cool. Opponent agrees I just have every resource and I'm a super ahead in the game. I agree. On Aaron Gertler's stream just now, we came to the conclusion that they should have changed Epiphany to make Monastery Mentor tokens. I would have appreciated a A-Alrund's Epiphany buff. As it stands, I don't actually think they nerfed it enough. So, I mean, we'll see. They nerfed it a lot. Not making blockers does change the just good on its ownness of the card. But yeah, it's still really good to have access to literally any spell at all that takes an extra turn. Literally anything at all. Alright, so let's play Disdainful Strokes and Test of Talents and some Hullbreaker Horrors, and we're going to trim an Epiphany, and we're going to trim Fading Hopes. I'm not sure how I should feel about Geistchanneler on the draw. The artifact that gives extra turns? Well, maybe not every extra turn effect is broken. Maybe only every extra turn spell is broken. I guess artifacts are spells, technically, in Magic parlance, huh? Instants and sorceries. Instants more so than sorceries, as is usually the case. Yeah, this bit's legitimately tough. I'm not sure what my... Discover the Formula is such a different card when it comes to how these Epiphany mirrors work. Because I now have to rely on a much more expensive card draw spell. I'm going to trim a Geistchanneler on the draw. Deactivated by Cardboard Live. Learn how to fix this. Go to your creator dashboard on Twitch. Extensions. Manage permissions. Got it. Refresh. I might need to go live again after this starts. Or after this finishes. And see if that gets the untapped thing working. I'm guessing I can't change that setting while I'm live, because I did turn it off, but it doesn't seem to have had an impact yet. In the meantime, waiting for the opponent to do literally anything. I am, in regards to this matchup overall, I'm a little worried that with the percentage of our card draw that is now a 6 mana instant, even though Geistchanneler should be pretty helpful in the matchup, I think this deck might actually be less good in Izzet mirrors then hands like this, than the traditional standard variants that just play Behold the Multiverse. There is a very real chance that Discover the Formula is just worse than Behold the Multiverse if you're actually playing a Drago Mirror where nobody is ever allowed to tap out for any reason whatsoever. Well, we're going to mulligan this, and we're going to keep this extremely bad hand. And then I'm probably just going to get rid of the Demon Bolt, because I don't know if I'm worried about my opponent playing Goldspan Dragon or Lier, but I'm definitely more worried about missing a land drop if I only keep 4 lands. Howdy, Ninja. 2022's... That's going to get tricky to say. I'm going to have to get used to that. It's treating me pretty well. I've had a nice beginning to it. Been feeling pretty motivated and energetic, which is a nice change. Honestly, I think that's almost entirely due to the fact that I started walking regularly, which I don't know if that actually has had a big impact on how, like, alert and energetic I feel, or if I'm kind of just attributing to it things that aren't really related, but I don't know. I'm assuming walking regularly is probably healthy no matter what, so if I manage to trick my brain into thinking that it's good, and that keeps me doing it, whatever. Good for me. Also good for me that we won. I'll take it, I guess. I can't say no to a hand that gets to go Geistchanneler into 1 mana Divide by 0, which means that I'm probably playing this Jwari Disruption on turn 1, because I just want lands to make it up to 6 mana with Lier and Divide by 0 backup. Opponent on Snowy Zombies. Interesting. We now have the option of 4 mana Discover the Formula instead of 3 mana Divide by 0, which is more of an actual curve. So we're going to choose the option that has an actual curve. As much as I love 1 mana Divide by 0 with Lier, Discover the Formula on turn 4 is kind of just better. Alright, and chat, how are we doing on the untapped overlay actually working with cards like Geistchanneler? Blade Stitch Scob goes away! Cool. I love my opponent not having any tempo. It makes it easier to cast do-nothing 4-drops. Huzzah! Alright, overlay functional. You love to hear it. What do we have on turn 4, opponent? We have a Blade Stitched Scob. Very well. Alright, in that case, I would like to Divide by 0 a Fell Stinger to make you spend the most mana possible. Cool. We're going to grab Environmental Sciences because our next turn is casting Discover the Formula, and Environmental Sciences is fun to make cost 1 mana. It's better to make cost 0 mana, but we'll see what we can do. Necro Duality. Whenever a non-token zombie enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. That's interesting, the wording on that. Whenever a non-token zombie, but it doesn't specify creature. Because couldn't you have a... through some abomination of typings, non-creature tribal enchantment zombie? Or is that actually just not possible in Magic? So the fact that it says create a token that's a copy of that creature... Huh. Maybe I'm going too deep on that. Hey! We got a land! Also more lands. Woo! So we have a 1 mana Geistchanneler, but only Unexpected Windfalls that we can discount by 1 mana anyway. So I guess we're probably casting Unexpected Windfall to start with. And I think I'm getting rid of Spikefield Hazard, because I like the idea of Fading Hoping Necroduality tokens. I don't really want to put Blade Stitch Scob back in my opponent's hand with this Fading Hope. I don't want to discard the hand size terribly much either, though. But I want all of my mana. I guess I should just play Geistchanneler and discount Unexpected Windfall. I'm probably going to end up casting it off these two treasures anyway. This way I'm not discarding anything to hand size, and it being cheaper actually has an impact when we eventually play Lier. Never enters the battlefield. So if we counter whatever next zombie they play, they don't get multiple copies of it. That's probably a good idea, I think. Alternatively, how much might we not care about them having a bunch of Blade Stitch Scob tokens? I'm probably not likely to get a lot of use out of this Jwari Disruption if I don't use it now. We are going to have to wind up outscaling them, but I bet we can probably do that with this Lier, provided they don't have too much removal. Hopefully. Alright, deck. We have 1 divide by 0, you're telling me. Which ain't excellent for getting rid of that Fell Stinger. I believe that means that I'm probably just going to be letting them have 3 Fell Stingers and an attempt to combo off myself. Or I just let them have 1 Fell Stinger and then Fading Hope both of the copies, which I think might be the better line. Let's actually start by getting rid of environmental sciences. Okay, an A-Alrund's Epiphany but no copy spell. Might be able to live with that. You'll get rid of a Fell Stinger token. If you get rid of exploit creatures before they exploit, then the trigger doesn't end up doing anything. They could choose to sacrifice something to that trigger, but without the body there to see the exploit happen, the trigger doesn't do anything. Now I still have a 3rd Fading Hope if I want to, but I don't really want to bounce anything except tokens. Discover the formula for 6 mana. I do think I will draw that. I'm going to end up casting the other Discover the Formula from the graveyard, provided our Lier survives first. But having a Discover the Formula in hand, racking up some getting cheaperness, sounds good. Alright. They did not, it appears, draw another creature, which I'm more than happy with. Oh! Did they not actually draw at all? They used the wrong exploit trigger, didn't they? Ah. Painful. Wouldn't be the first time that it happened to me either. So I could environmental sciences here just to like deck thin, but I don't actually think I'm very into that. I think I just want to spend all of my mana casting Discover the Formulas and Unexpected Windfalls. Which, I have exactly enough mana to cast Discover the Formula and a 3 mana Unexpected Windfall from my graveyard without using any of my treasures. Okay, they don't do anything. I'm fine with that. Cool. We found a Galvanic Iteration, which ought to be just excellent. Actually, 6 mana for Epiphany, 2 mana for Galvanic Iteration. Okay, so I can use both Galvanic Iterations and Epiphany next turn, which means that I don't want to use the Galvanic Iteration now. Okay, we're done. I think in that situation where I had the ability to cast 2 more Discover the Formulas, I didn't need to maximize cards drawn and and treasures made with Unexpected Windfall there. It's better for me to save the Galvanic Iteration and take 3 extra turns than to double Unexpected Windfall here, because I could do that with the 2 mana Unexpected Windfall, and then double take an extra turn next turn. One of those scenarios where, like, both of those lines win, but I guess this line wins 99.9% of the time instead of 99.8%. What's the win con for this deck outside of opponent surrendering? Beats with Lier, Geistchanneler, and Hall of the Storm Giants, or 2 Alrund's Epiphany birds. But yeah, it's very much similar to the blue-black deck in that you don't need win cons. You're just a combo deck that's combo is you draw so many cards that none of your opponent's things matter. It doesn't have Sorin to make 2/3 lifelinkers. That much is true. We shall see if that makes the difference in the end. Now, our opponent's playing a zombie deck. Do I have, like, anything in my sideboard that's relevant against that? I guess Vampire's Vengeance is sort of interesting in that it kills Fellstingers. If they have multiple Necrodualities, the way that it stacks is similar to Galvanic Iteration. That means you can't just board wipe away all the Fellstingers. That's kind of rude. But we're going to get rid of the Demon Bolts and try Vampire's Vengeance. I'm curious if that's a better card against them. We'll see. We'll see. Galvanic plus Epiphany's a traditional style finisher 2. Yes, except that with the Alchemy nerfs, it doesn't actually straight up kill your opponent as easily. Like, you'll still win most of the time you do the combo, but you don't end up with 6 birds. You usually wind up with 0 birds, which means winning slower. Chris, do you have a favorite type of deck, aggro, combo, etc.? I would say that, generally speaking, I enjoy control more than most other types on average, but what I really enjoy is getting to make choices while playing, and I like any deck that does that. Yeah, we'll go with all the Storm Giants here. So even decks like Burn in Modern, I find really enjoyable because it's a kind of deck where I feel like I'm making a lot of decisions between different choices that all have some level of viability. I am least interested in decks where it feels like I'm kind of... Do I want Jwari Disruption here? Where it feels like I'm hashing out, or I'm playing a deck that has most of the best options readily apparent, regardless of whether that deck is good or not. Have you seen the blue-white deck that has no win cons, just reshuffles with Witness the Future and 1D as cover-up, discounts everything with Discover Formula? I have seen some of those lists. I wasn't as excited about their ability to play control mirrors. I'm going to keep this Jwari Disruption so that I can play a Spikefield Hazard on the Shambling Ghast, I think, and still have Jwari Disruption up. I might end up regretting this, but I think that's what I'm supposed to do. and then next turn I play Spikefield Hazard with Divide by 0 up. I was hoping they wouldn't have the 4th mana, so they can play the Fell Stinger as a draw 2 and I can't do anything about it. But if they just keep it as a 3-2, I don't care. Okay, that works for me. I don't really care about that. Not likely to end up with a ton of use out of this Jwari Disruption, but we can wind up playing it as a land. Not the worst thing in the world. Ooh, opponent played their Necro Duality around Jwari Disruption last turn? Well, we'll divide by 0 that. Think I take Environmental Sciences, although there's a pretty good chance that we're going to be discarding that to Unexpected Windfall. Alright, and without any more interaction, we are now sort of in a race with the opponent. I suppose what decks offer choices depends on the meta somewhat. Like if combat matters, then mid-range decks would let you make a lot of decisions. Yeah. Like, one of the interesting things about Burn in Modern, and one of the reasons that I always kind of come back to this as my go-to deck for, yeah, I like control decks, but is that Burn plays a lot of different styles of gameplay with one, quote, deck. And it pivots what it's supposed to be doing. Sometimes it turns into control decks against, like, Infect, for example, dependent on the metagame. And the context of Modern specifically is one where Burn gets to do that. Yeah, I think I'm just supposed to play some Discover the Formulas for the next couple of turns. How'd he go, green? How goes it? That's why I always make the decision not to play creatures. Well, not playing creatures is a easy little life hack to make sure that all of your decisions are about answering your opponent's stuff. And trying to figure out the best way to answer things is almost always super interesting, in my opinion. Alright, I want to counter 2 Fell Stingers. No, I think I just want to discover the formula. So we'll do this on the off chance I can get something that matters off of this Discover the Formula, but I don't actually think I can. We do, however, hit Galvanic Iteration Geistchanneler. Now that's interesting. 6 mana Epiphany. So I can, even with a tap land, I can go Geistchanneler, make A-Alrund's Epiphany cost 4, and then Galvanic Epiphany. Is that what I want to do, or do I just want to wipe my opponent's board because of this Vampire's Vengeance and make everything even more cheaper? Making everything even more cheaper sounds like a lot of fun, so I think we're just going to go with that line. I get to take like 3 extra turns next turn if I don't die here. Oh, also the Geistchanneler blocks, so it's even harder for them to kill me. So we can discover the formula, and then Vampire's Vengeance costs 1 off the treasure. I need to be very mindful of my life total, because the opponent's Fell Stingers do actually represent burn damage in their deck. So like me going to 1 might mean I just instantly die. Do I think there's any way my opponent could have some ability to buff the toughness of their creatures, which would kill me? I don't think so with all black. I'm willing to not play around it. Notably, this is kind of exactly one of the scenarios that made us feel like Vampire's Vengeance might be better than Cinderclasm. Cinderclasm we can never get down below 2 red to deal 2 damage to everything. For this Vampire's Vengeance, we got down to 1 mana. I'm assuming this is the opponent sacrificing something to whatever that 2 mana instant is. I certainly hope it's not them killing me somehow. It is in fact Deadly Dispute. Alright. You had me very scared, opponent. Oh no, we missed the land draw. Bummer. Alright, 3 mana, 2 mana, 2 mana. So we get to take 3 extra turns. Could be worse. Could be better. I would be happy if I was making this land drop. Oh, now we make the land drops, I see. Alright, for starters, Galvanic Iteration. Ooh. I did actually need that land drop so that I could Unexpected Windfall. Otherwise I was only going to get to Unexpected Windfall twice. The constraints that this 2-color deck has on its mana sources, because you have to have so many red and blue pips for Galvanic Iterations, is really interesting. Alright, let's draw 6 cards and make 6 mana. And then I guess we'll play this Lier. And then I guess we're going to do a bunch of stuff, but I don't know what a bunch of stuff is going to be yet. My hand's almost entirely lands, and it doesn't really even matter. Reject? Oh, you're telling me I gotta spend like 3 more mana on that? That's so much mana, opponent. Fine. Alright, and where were we? Spending treasures on things. Yeah, so I don't discard a hand size. Let's play the Geistchanneler and snag the Divide by 0. Okay. Found an A-Alrund's Epiphany, but I don't have any more copy spells, so land. And let's get rid of the token. Get rid of Vampire's Vengeance. I'm still taking 1 more turn after this. So I would say we can discover the formula, get some cards cheaper, and then we can probably Unexpected Windfall, and discard a Spikefield Hazard. Yeah, I agree, opponent. That was probably over. Oh, that's a lot of building up to very fun turns, isn't it?